Welcome to a football show, Super Bowl edition, Thursday edition. Nick Suss of the Tennessee, and I am Braden Gall, brought to you by Sinkers Beverages. Yes, I am back in my house, but still not in my office. This is the kids' playroom. If you are watching, of course, on YouTube, which you should be, thumbs up, notifications turned on. Good morning, Nick Suss. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I've been in my house a little longer, so I won't gloat. I'm happy you're home. I'm very happy you're home.
Oh man, I think the dog might be as happy as I am to be home, and my children, and most importantly, my significant other, very happy to be sleeping in our own beds last night with power for the first time in 11 days. But here we are, ready to go. Super Bowl Sunday is here and upon us, so we will get to it coming up. Our version of a Super Bowl preview, of course, comes from Nick Suss's brain, everybody. And I'll let you sort of describe how you got to this story and idea, because you were asked to do one thing and you kind of had to do it the right way. And so you ended up doing a slightly different exercise, which ended up 5,000 words deep into reimagining the Titans with Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
So you want to do a quick tease here? Can you do a quick tease of a 5,000 word story?
So for those of you who don't understand the context of the title, go to Tennessean.com. This week I wrote a two-part story, a two-part piece on trying to answer a question that was asked to me in my office of, if the Titans didn't fire Mike Vrabel, would they be in the Super Bowl today? And I looked at the person who asked me that and said, no, end of story. It's a one-word story. And they said,
that's not
okay.
Fun.
And they said, okay, so what if the Titans didn't trade A.J. Brown? Would they still be in the Super Bowl today? And I said, no, one-word story, no. And they said, okay, well, let's say the ending of your story is the Titans in the Super Bowl today. What's the beginning of your story? And that is what we will be discussing today. If you want to do a little bit of a primer, Tennessean.com. It's in two parts. Read the first part, read the second part. Listen along as we talk through it, because I know Braden read it as well. This is not going to be me spending an hour talking about fiction that I wrote, though we could. It's going to be about the broad roster dynamics, the broad decision-making patterns that lead to success in the NFL. And throughout this piece, I tried to ask myself, what sort of decisions would the Titans have needed to make to both A, retain Mike Vrabel as coach, and B, be in the Super Bowl in year 9 of Mike Vrabel's tenure, which would have required succeeding enough to not fire the coach, winning enough consistently to not fire the coach, but also putting yourself in position to be able to draft a young quarterback, to be able to build a stronger roster, to be able to retain talent through extensions without missing on draft picks. It's very complicated to do both of those things at the same time when your roster was aging without a young star quarterback. And so doing that required a lot of words, a lot of trades, a lot of maneuvering, a lot of free agency deals. I got way too crazy about this. Tennessean.com, if somebody wants to throw the link in the chat, go ahead and click on it. Yeah. But we will explain a lot of it as we go on.
It was very fun. It was very fun. And it's simultaneously both a tremendous insight into how to find success in the NFL and also your brain. So we'll do all of that. It's a little it's a psychological exercise as well. And according to Bustin' Diamond in the comments, looks like he could work for the Tennessean. Good morning. And to answer the title with a video question, absolutely not. Jordan says, addressing the episode title, is Ryan Tannehill still the quarterback? Hold. We'll get to that.
We'll discuss after some banter.
Yes. Bustin also says, if we have Mike Vrabel, we're never in a position to draft Cam Ward. I'm not sure that's the trade you want to start with, but I understand what you're saying. If Mike even had a season as bad as Callahan one time at the end of his stint here, he would have been fired either way. I love a good alternate reality thought game. There you go, Josh. Good to see you, Josh. Hope everybody's warm and safe for you, my guy. Retro Dax as well. Keep seeing mocks with us taking O-line. Make it stop. I also, as I'm staring at your screen, Nick, with the Flight of the Conchords in the background, I just can see your editors going, well, can you write this story? And you just saying no. And then immediately looking at you and saying, be more constructive with your feedback. That's like my favorite line from the whole show. You're the dickhead, Brett. Okay, so we'll do some news. We'll do Gus Bradley. Who does it benefit, this coaching staff? I think there's one word to describe this coaching staff, and then we'll touch on the uniform trend that is all over the social platforms. I have a particular angle to all of this. I want to see where your brain goes with it. And if you want to get involved in the comment section, please do so. But our Super Bowl preview will revolve around an alternate reality, like all 30 teams that aren't in the game. Okay, Sinkers Beverages, everybody. Support good local small businesses. That includes 440 Sports, 440 Media, but it definitely includes Sinkers Beverages, and it includes a lot of the products you get at Sinkers Beverages, which, of course, are a lot of great, awesome local craft brews. So if you are in Madison, Yazoo Brewing Company on the river, very peaceful, overlooking the Cumberland with a nice beer. They got Grill Shack burgers in there. It's a great place to go hang. They got board games. Fantastic. If you're in Wilson County, East Nashville Beer Works has a massive beer playground out there. Literally, huge playground, LED screen, projection outside. They got the dog park. You could bring the dog and the kids and watch the big game, of course, at East Nashville Beer Works. The best food at a brewery, Tennessee Brew Works, right there downtown. So if you're downtown, if you want to pregame for anything you're doing this weekend, remember Tennessee Brew Works and Jackalope Brewing Company, which just acquired Black Abbey. They are now under the same umbrella. Two fantastic places. The very first ever female-owned brewery in the history of the state of Tennessee. So go check out Jackalope Brewing Company as well. So lots of great local products all over the mid-state area, and you can get all those products at Sinkers Beverages as well. So either buy them at Sinkers or go to a tap room and have a beer. According to science, Nick, it is good for your health to share in moderation a couple bevies with some friends, or even, gasp, people you don't know, Nick.
Yeah. If you guys want an additional review of one of those breweries, my childhood best friend is staying with me this week, and he went and got a drink with a friend of his at Yazoo, and his review of the place, too many fries. So if you want a place that gives you so many fries that you'll be like, that's a lot of fries.
That's a thing?
Yazoo.
That's a thing.
I guess.
So technically that's Grill Shack, which we have a location right next to our house as well. So Grill Shack Burgers is Riverside Grill Shack is the original location. They have a little kiosk inside Yazoo Brewing Company.
Yeah.
And they do give you tons of fries, big old steak fries
Yeah.
that are covered in salt and pepper, which are delicious. So
yeah, so try that. Just have a lot of fries. It's good. It sounds like a great plan.
Right. Why would you ever you're not going to win election running on an anti-fry platform?
Do you think somebody
work?
Do you think somebody who fits under the criteria of Nick's childhood best friend would fit under the criteria of normal?
I mean, what is normal, Nick?
You've seen the pilot. This guy is Troy, the guy who Troy is literally based on.
Fair enough. Okay. Steak fries are an elite fry option. I don't want to get bogged down in the shoestring versus waffle versus steak versus seasoned versus curly fried debate. That would take over the entire show. I could do 5,000 words on that. No problem.
That's
all right.
A summer topic. We'll get there.
Absolutely. All right. So Sinkers Beverages, everybody, please go support good local business and hope everybody out there is safe and warm and back running. As is the case. Wow, Jason, Grill Shack, best burger and fries in Nashville. I would agree with you prior to the pandemic. I would agree with you prior to the pandemic. The fries are still the best. But I'm going to do this. No free shouts. Dream Burger is the best burger in the city. And that's it. If you know, you know. Okay. All right. Let's dive into this here. And I want to say Gus Bradley, of course, being named as the defensive coordinator, kind of one of the worst kept secrets in Nashville sports media and Titans sports media. But Gus Bradley finally announced. He, of course, I think completes what is now, I think, easily the most experienced coaching staff that this organization has probably ever had. I'd have to go really back into the Fisher era. And, Norm Chow was coaching a lot, but none in the NFL. Like, there's lots of different eras where there's experience. But this one, in its first year, easily, by far, and completely the most, absolutely the most experienced coaching staff that this team has ever had. I want to know who it benefits the most because I think I have some players on defense that I want to highlight, but I just want your opinion on Gus Bradley. Do you like the hire, and do you like the general strategy of the staff that Saleh has built?
Yes and no. Like, if we're going historically, if we're looking at the historical context of this, I believe the Titans are only the 10th team since 2000 to have a retread head coach and former head coaches at offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. The most prominent example of that being the Chiefs these last couple of years with Reed, Nagy, Spagnuolo. Obviously going to the Super Bowl twice under that regime, a good trend. Of the rest of the teams, only one has even made the postseason. Like, there is no guarantee that hiring a bunch of experience is going to lead to a bunch of success. I think if you look at the teams that have former head coaches at offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, the ones that have had the most success are the ones that are built by a coach who's in year 9. Like Mike Tomlin adding Todd Haley and Dick LeBeau in his 7th year or whatever that is very different than Robert Saleh doing it in year 1. To the best of my ability, the only example I could find of a team hiring a coach in year 1 who brought in experienced offensive coordinator, experienced defensive coordinator, both former head coaches, was Jim Schwartz when he got to Detroit. And that was maybe a comparable situation. That Detroit team had no depth. They were shambles. They'd been through a lot of rebuild. And I'm trying to remember. I think it was Scott Linehan and Gunther Cunningham or something were their coordinators, and they held on to those guys for a while and they built things up. So there is some precedent for this working. But I guess what I'm saying here is I neither think this is a fast track to success move, nor do I think it is some oversight of not having enough youth. I think that this can work. I don't think it's any guarantee it will work, but I do think it is a worthy strategy when you are correcting something that ailed you last year.
Yep. No question about it. And I do think if you dive into Saleh and kind of what he means to players, he's very good at taking sort of a 79 on Madden and making him like an 84.
Yeah.
Like he's really good at taking that sort of C+, B- player and turning him into a positive spot on the depth chart and in the starting lineup. Again, like an 86 is a player you're starting to an 86 is like transitioning into net war positivity, right? Like you're a positive impact on the outcome. Whereas like an 80 is kind of one that's just holding the line there, if that, for lack of a better explanation. And so what I think is interesting is who are the players that I am most excited about seeing this staff, in particular Saleh, Bradley, and White Cotton, right? Those 3 guys getting their hands on. And I don't want to talk too much about T'Vondre Sweat, but I am willing to see what it looks like with a great defensive line coach, a new coordinator, and a new head coach, all of whom seem to develop defensive players quite well. So I can't wait to see what that looks like with Sweat. Cedric Gray this is a perfect time and moment for him to be developed, to get coaching and development from high-level people. He has got tons of confidence. He's coming off a great season. I want to see what he looks like if they can round out his game a little bit from a coverage standpoint and really maximize him. He could be a star, as Robert Saleh has done, Fred Warner, etc., other guys that he's done that with, the Jets as well. I think Amani Hooker could benefit significantly from this. He had a down year last year. There's a lot of Titans fans who are questioning what his future is. Got the new contract. I think there's a chance that he could have some really nice, stable, elevated years to wrap up his contract, which is probably, when's the out on the contract? 2 years from now? Like 2 more seasons or 1 more season?
On Hook? Yeah, I think it's after this season, but I would have to double check that.
With contract in place and on the table potentially in terms of risk, and now these good coaches, I think Hooker, I'm really intrigued by Sweat, Hooker, and Gray up the middle and to see what they look like maximized. I don't know who the corners are that are going to benefit. I don't know who they are.
Yeah, it's a really short game to play because there's like 4 players on this defense who we already know are going to start, but we also aren't, like Jeffrey Simmons. So the list of players who can benefit who aren't already at the top of their game is pretty shallow. We'll see how the safeties come back from injury this year, especially Winston. We'll see what position they think of him as, whether he's playing in the nickel, whether he's playing deep, what he can do there. But yeah, I mean, Cedric Gray was the first name that came to mind for me. Sweat, it's going to be tricky because I don't necessarily think that Saleh and Bradley have historically favored a true nose tackle. So we will have to a little bit see what they can do positionally for him. But I do think that he has the chance to be a more impactful player in the pass game. He's been solid in the run game. He just needs to be more impactful and be on the field more frequently in the pass game. But
he's not a top 50 like defensive lineman in terms of pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, and whether that means they need him to be more impactful when it comes to absorbing blocks, or they need him to be more impactful when it comes to actually getting there, we will see. He hasn't been great at either. Until they sign some corners and then draft some corners and then sign some more corners, it's going to be tough to say. but
which I imagine they're going to do.
I would imagine there are going to be a lot of cornerbacks.
But like, let's say Marcus Harris, for example, right? A guy that they drafted who I would say was as good as you can expect from a player drafted in his slot. Was he a 6th round pick, I think?
Fifth
round pick. Either way,
right.
like he's a body. He's a third, fourth, fifth corner. I thought he showed that he could be that last year as only a rookie. His football IQ, I think he super smart kid. I think he developed quickly and was able to be a contributor pretty quickly. And so what I think is interesting is that's another guy that could go from a 72 to a 78, and all of a sudden, okay, well that's a fourth string corner that you now have. So I expect 2 draft picks and probably a free agent as well. So that's 3 new bodies. I think they will benefit from the coaching staff, but I don't know who they are. So.
And I also, this kind of addresses the comment at the beginning of the show about not wanting to draft offensive linemen. I want to talk about this a little bit, not to get bogged down, because I know you want to talk about some other stuff.
No, go for it.
Hiring a new coaching staff does not mean that the existing front office's opinions about roster building strategy have changed to fit that coaching staff. The types of players they draft might change to fit the coaching staff. But if we think about, like, go back to August. I reported this back in August. I'm sure other people did as well. When we talked to Dave Ziegler and he gave the rundown of this is the priority from position group downward of how we want to build a roster. And it was start with the front, the offensive line, then build the trenches on defense. Then you got to have the quarterback. Then you got to have the playmakers who can have the ball and then extend plays in space, and et cetera, et cetera. For as much as we can say the Titans want attacking cornerbacks and the Titans want a pass rush that can affect the game and all of these things, the front office mentality is still that if you don't have the offensive line solidified, you do not have a team. And I can say pretty confidently that the team was not satisfied with the offensive line play last year. Does that mean they are willing to blow it up and pick a tackle 4th overall? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think so. But
I'm seeing a lot of mocks with Francis at number 4.
But if we follow the logic of what do the Titans value most, and if we're following the logic of how did the Titans feel about that valuation last year, I don't want to just wholesale ignore the possibility that they could be back in on the offensive line again in the early rounds. That's not me predicting it. I am not here predicting it.
I hear you.
But let's not rule it out, guys.
I really don't want to talk about that. I've never gotten to a point with you where I'm like, I don't want to talk about that. Eddie, can you clarify this for a second? It says, I'm not super big into spend a premium top 50 pick on a corner, edge, and receiver. Not being the first 2 picks would be annoying. I'm not sure exactly what you're saying there. It sounds like you're saying you do want the premium spots to go to those positions. Those are generally where you get them. I think can we move T Sweat to guard? That's an excellent question. I don't think so. Although, man, he'd be a road grader if he turned it on. Has the GM and coach ever said we'll start with the receivers and corners and then we'll get to the trenches? Yeah, his name's Brian Callahan when Zach Taylor drafted Jamar Chase and had no offensive line for Joe Burrow.
You know who else said that was Ben Johnson.
Yeah, right. Is Cam getting sacked as much as last year because of a rookie tackle? I'll be okay with it if Cam is getting sacked. Excuse me. Yeah, I've seen a ton of mocks with 2nd round pick being a corner. I disagree with that approach. So here's the thing. To me, it is about value in the spot in the draft, and the value at edge is in the first 15 to 20 picks. The value at corner and receiver is between 25 and 75. And so you've got lots of really good bodies at corner and receiver that are going to be available if you're picking in the last 10 picks of the first round, if you're picking at 35, and if you're picking at 66. So that's why I would do that, is that the value proposition of Colton Hood or Brandon Cisse or one of these guys, Stukes, the kid out of Arizona, who's a nickel and just brilliant, if those guys are available at 35 and the value of Jermod McCoy at 4 is, I actually think the pick at 35 is smarter. So that's just my opinion, but we have weeks and weeks and weeks to get into that.
My quickest point here, cornerback is the toughest position to play in the NFL. And if you have somebody who plays it well, go get him. It's the hardest position to play.
The problem, much like the receiver position, the problem is the premier people have flaws.
Yeah.
Jordan Tyson might be the best receiver, and Jermon McCoy might be the best corner. Both of them are hurt and didn't play most of last year. So those are concerns. Also, corner is one you can, and receiver are both very, I don't want to say very easy, but relative to other positions, you can find a lot more productivity in the second, third, and fourth round, and even fifth round than you can at edge. Offensive line, a tackle for sure as well. Harder to find tackles later in the draft. 101 is where I like them to target a guard or interior lineman, maybe in the third round, but I have a feeling you should be able to get one of the guys you love, whether it's Connor Lew at Auburn, whether it's Logan Jones from Iowa. I actually think the Indiana Carter Smith, the offensive tackle, is going to play potentially guard or center. I think he could be available at 101. So there's offensive linemen that are still high quality potential starters at the top of the fourth round. So I don't love the idea of going tackle in the first or second round. I don't love that idea.
If Keelan Rutledge is still there at 101, I like him a lot.
Yeah.
Just a lot of opportunities. Yeah.
The kid, the center out of Michigan State, who I'm drawing a blank on right now, is another good one at 101 as well. I would love Omar Cooper in the second round. Omar Cooper Jr., pretty good player. I think you might be able to get him later. Big Jeff wants Bain at 4, but we need someone to show him the David Bailey tape. I'll be all in. It will be based on free agency, of course. The best thing for offensive line improvement will be a young quarterback just getting better at dealing with pressure. He was a rookie. I expect him to get better at helping his offensive line, says Eddie. I agree with that.
For sure.
And I think you saw that in the last month and a half of the season. I think the last 5 or 6 games, you saw the game start to slow down for him a little bit. What do we get for trading T Sweat? Seems like we're not going to keep him. I don't know if that last part is true. I think they're going to audition him. I think you could get a third or a fourth round pick for him. I feel like maybe a fourth, but that's admitting, that the 38th pick was probably too rich for him.
Yeah.
Where are you at on that?
I think it's a lot of noise about trading him. I agree. I still don't think it's going to happen.
Paul Kaharski does not agree with us. Sinkers Beverages, everybody, make sure you check out Sinkers Beverages. Also, go read Nick Suss's work at the Tennessean, Tennessean.com, and support good local business right now. We do appreciate it. Also, could Levis get us a third if we throw in a 7th, says LCT. I don't know about a third. I think you might be able to get a 4th for him, and yeah, you probably have to add a 7th in there.
Depends on the team. Depends on how much they value Levis, obviously. But
depends on timing as well. If this is training camp and your starter's been hurt, well, Levis's value goes up. So leverage on Will Levis for sure. All right, I want to, before we get into this 5,000 word story, I want to quickly this is just for fun, okay? Because I don't know if you've got any other information, but there is no actual information about the Titans changing uniforms.
Correct.
There is no reporting. There's no leaking. There's no somebody told me. And here's the other thing, Occam's razor on all of this. You normally don't do a complete rebrand of your uniform helmets and logos after just doing one a few years ago. So while I love the oil, I know you don't like the oil derrick. I love the oil derrick. I love the baby blues. I think it is a far superior uniform. I do think the dark blue helmet and the dark blue direction they went when they modified their uniforms a few years ago, which is what, 5 years ago, 6 years ago? What was it, 2019?
I thought it was
2020.
I thought it was when Mariota was a rookie or second year. Was it?
It was not
that recent.
It wasn't 16.
I thought it was 16 or 17. But
well,
again,
he was drafted in 15. That was 10 years ago. I think it was when Amy Adams Strunk officially. It was like I thought it was going into the pandemic, but anyway, the point is it's fairly recent, relatively speaking. So the odds of them actually doing anything like this is very, very, very small. Do I hate the flaming thumbtack? Personally, I do not like it. Do I like chrome helmets? Personally, I do not like them. I understand modern and futuristic and edgy is sort of where the kids are at these days, Sus. But I don't personally like that. I think the move they made to the dark blue made them look a little old school and a little vintage and a little classic, and I like that. Going away from all the movements, I like Penn State's uniforms. I like Texas's uniforms. Like I like kind of traditional and simple. So I think it was good. I really like the ones I'm seeing, though, where they're white with the Titan sword or the oil derrick or the blue face mask. I know you do not. So
all I will say, and this is me speaking reporterly, no new trademarks have been filed by Tennessee Football LLC for logos or for branding or for trademark quotes or anything like that.
You do some open records requesting this week?
No new trademarks have been filed as of yet. That does not mean that they are not being processed. There is just nothing that has been filed for a new logo or a new slogan that I can find.
2018. There you go. Says Jordan. 2018, last time they changed uniforms. So we were both. I was righter, but we were both wrong.
If I said 17 and you said 19, how are you righter than me?
We got it right. So I would like to see them make another tweak to the logo. They're not going to do the thing that I think many fans want, and I'm talking 5 years from now, 6 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever the time is they feel like they need a brand refresh. And to be fair to fans, I do know why you might do this. New era at quarterback, new era at head coach, new era in the front office, new stadium. Why not refresh the brand as well? I get it. Now, here's the other thing. Could you keep the whole uniform as it is and tweak the logo? Like, you could do that. Could you keep the logo and tweak the colors? Like, didn't they do this 2 years ago where they said, no, we're just going to do dark blue now or light blue, or what did they decide? We're just going to do light blue. Like, you can tweak things and you don't need to either file a new trademark or dramatically change the entire look of the team. So I think I would love to see more of the old Oilers vibe and look in their uniform. I am curious what the fans think of that, because I don't like the red. I think the red uniforms look terrible, and everybody is obsessed with those red uniforms as some form of like thing that never happened. I don't know.
I'm proud of myself. I had a uniform opinion this week. So I'm progressing toward maybe caring about this.
Dude, people love uniforms, man.
It was about the Anaheim Ducks, so it is not relevant. But I did have a uniform opinion this week, so I'm proud of myself. And if there are new uniforms, if there is a new logo, I will try my best to give you guys an opinion about it, even though I probably won't have one.
So you like just old, like Chris Johnson, like 2008 or whatever, 2013.
I like what I'm nostalgic for what I am nostalgic for, but that does not mean I think it's fundamentally better.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's self-awareness. I appreciate that. I think you could do better, but I do think the most recent adjustment was better. I think simple is better. When it comes to graphic design, I think simple is better. And it looks cleaner and smoother, but maybe that's just me. So the red was ugly. The red in the uniforms is not. Bring me the Oilers. I think the red looks great with the baby blue. I don't think it looks as good with the dark blue. I actually think the gray looks better with the dark blue. I think that little touch of gray, not to R.I.P. Bob Weir, the touch of gray in the uniform, I didn't mind.
I will also, as a guy, prides himself on consistency, prides himself on believing the same thing in situations that apply. As a guy who has made fun of the Utah Jazz for there not being any Jazz in Utah, and as a guy who has made fun of the Los Angeles Lakers for there not being lakes in Los Angeles and all of this stuff, don't be the Oilers. You're in Tennessee. You changed the name because this isn't where the oil derricks are.
Well, no. You can look exactly like the Oilers and keep it a Titans logo and be the Titans.
Sure, and I'm fine with that. But like for people who want the oil derrick to come back as the primary logo, no. And in fact, I think secondary and third logos are actually generally better when they stay as secondary. That's what makes them cool, is that they're like counterculture to some degree. Yeah.
But I think if you went full on Oilers uniforms, oil derrick themed uniform, but with a new Titans logo, whether it's the sword, whether it's just the circle, whatever it is, I think that's great. So
you got to laugh at me, Eddie. That's a good point. There are not Dodgers in Los Angeles.
There are 9 black people in the state of Utah, and they all play for the Utah Jazz. Oh, that's funny. Okay. All right. Are we ready to go? Are there Timberwolves in Minnesota? I would guess there definitely are.
Yeah, they didn't relocate. If there aren't, then that's just bad.
It's poor.
Bad naming. Yeah.
Poor form. Of course, my team of all the teams, literally named after the people that were doing the packing. We had lots of shipping routes in Wisconsin at the time.
And it's not just because
the Acme Packing Company.
It's Braden can go for like 20 minutes on why Titans fits Nashville, and it's not just because there's a random Parthenon here. There is a lot of history.
Well,
Yeah.
The Predators, they found the skull when building Bridgestone. Like that was remember when they started building Bridgestone, the Predators were not a thing that were coming to Nashville. They thought it could be an NBA team. They thought it could be an NHL team. They built the stadium saying like, we will build it and they will come kind of thing. And they found the skull of the saber-toothed tiger, the Smilodon or whatever it is, while they were building it. And so that's where it became part of the logo and part of the name. So that's the right way to do it.
There's history.
I tend to agree. Yeah, I tend to agree. If we are the Titans because someone randomly put a Parthenon on, I'm not sure we can convince someone to. I'm sure we can convince someone to put up an oil derrick.
We'll see.
The Tennessee natural gases.
Yeah, do exactly what everybody in Nashville wants right now and honor the electric company.
We could be the Tennessee Valley. We could be the TVA. We could be the Tennessee Valley Authority. That's what we could be. Isn't the saber-tooth thing folklore fiction? Oh, there we go. That's random. To be the Athens of the South is random.
Hey, you built a lot of colleges. You got a lot of colleges.
The Tennessee Frackers.
If you guys are curious about alternate names, I did write like 3 years ago.
Tennessee Limestones?
Speaking of patents, I did write about every single trademark and patent that Tennessee Football LLC filed for in 1998 when they reserved like 10 different names in case they didn't pick one.
Give me your 3 favorites.
The Tennessee Presidents, the Tennessee Commanders.
After Andrew Jackson of all presidents.
I'm just trying to remember what was in here. Commanders was in there weirdly. That ended up being an NFL name eventually.
Isn't there somebody else from here? It's Is it Monroe? No, who was from here? There was another one. Anyway,
I thought Jackson was the only one. I can't remember all of them. Some of them were the Tornadoes was in there. Like there were some that were. Average.
I forgot. Al Gore is the president that was from here. But James K. Polk. Thank you, James K. Polk. That's right. I knew there was another one.
Go find that story. It's a fun read.
I had the right first name. It was James. I had the right first name. Okay. James Madison, not the right guy. Okay. Sinkers Beverages, Tennessean, all this great stuff. So let's go. Support good local business, please, if you can do that. Just if you've got a few extra dollars, if you got a few minutes of your time, go support good local business. All right, let's get into this alternate reality. And the question is, would the Titans be in the Super Bowl if they had Mike Vrabel still? And the answer, if asked like that, is no. So take us through, like sort of when you get the task and they ask you the question and you say no, and you say, but this is how I would do it. Tell me your goal in going through the process, because this is. You reimagine trades, reimagine contracts, reimagine signings, reimagine coordinator hires, reimagined almost every major decision, yes, including A.J. Brown's trade, throughout, basically starting in 2018, 2019, and all the way through to today. What were you trying to accomplish with actually going through the exercise?
I kind of thought of it in 2 phases. The first phase was, how do you keep Mike Vrabel's job? And the second phase was, how do you get that team that kept Mike Vrabel into the Super Bowl in 2026? It is very easy to build a Titans team that makes the Super Bowl in 2021. It is very easy to build a Titans team that makes the Super Bowl in 2022 or 2023. All you have to do is fix 1 or 2 mistakes. If you extend Jack Conklin, or even just franchise tag Jack Conklin, and don't have to pick Isaiah Wilson, so you use that first-round pick in 2020 on Jalen Johnson, or there was another guy. Antoine Winfield was available. There were a lot of good DBs.
Top flight corner, yeah.
You could have picked that, and then instead of picking Fulton in the second round, you could have picked somebody, and boom, the roster is stronger. You then just don't make the Vic Beasley signing or don't make the Bud Dupree signing. You fix 1 or 2 things. It's very easy to see how Tannehill in his prime, Derrick Henry in his prime, A.J. Brown in his prime, with 1 or 2 extra players. It's very easy to see how that team could have gotten to the Super Bowl in 21 or even 22 or 23 if you fix those couple of small mistakes. The real question is, if you're trying to get them into the Super Bowl following the 2025 season, on February 8th, 2026, you want the Titans to be playing in the Super Bowl. You can't have Ryan Tannehill, who has been out of the NFL for 2 years on our real timeline. And I believe he's 38. I could be off on the math right now. Maybe he's 36. He's somewhere around there. You can't have a guy who was already depreciating in value in 2021 in 100%. Real time. 100%. You can't have that guy still be the quarterback.
You can't have given him the contract extension that you gave him. That's the problem.
And even if you did, you can't have given him another one. And so the question then becomes, if you are building a team that is good enough to compete in that era so that Mike Vrabel keeps his job and A.J. Brown doesn't get traded, how are you then building a team that can reload 3 or 4 years later and be good enough today without the ability to go pick a quarterback in the top 5?
So
that is the biggest issue. Go ahead.
So reaction to that, because I think that's one of the biggest first takeaways, which is that all of the success that did actually happen with good players, GMs, coaches, none of that would have been sustainable because of their age. And that's it. I think that is the biggest, most important lesson in all of this. Jarrell Casey, and you keep going down the list. Taylor Lewan, Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill. You go down the list, and those names of those key pieces would not be doing it today in 2025, 26.
Yeah.
So you have to acknowledge that there's a whole new wave of roster churn that's going to happen. Are there some pieces that are the same? Probably. Maybe you still draft Amani Hooker. Maybe you still draft. I think you still had Chig drafted as a tight end. Are you going to re-sign some of those other elements, like the Jonnu Smiths of the world? I don't know, but there is a whole new turnover that has to happen from 19 and 20 to today that involves all of the most important pieces on those AFC Championship game teams and number 1 seed teams. Almost all of them are gone.
Yeah.
Even without the trade, even if you re-sign A.J. Brown and you keep him. So I think that's the first thing that really showed me about this. The second thing, and maybe it's not the right time for this, but so I'll wait on my second one. So now you go into the next phase here.
Yeah. So, and as we transitioned in this timeline, as I said, it's pretty easy to look at the Titans of the early Vrabel era and make 1 or 2 changes and have them competing for a Super Bowl. It's really simple to say, pick Amon-Ra St. Brown instead of Des Fitzpatrick. It was right there. You could have picked that guy. It's very easy to say that. Boom. Now you have A.J. Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown together. That strengthens your receiving core. It's very easy to say, pick up Jack Conklin's 5th-year option so you don't have to pick a right tackle immediately. And then in a couple of years, instead of picking Caleb Farley, use that pick on Christian Darrisaw, who you could have as your potential left tackle of the future as he replaces Conklin and then eventually progresses into replacing Lewan. It's very easy to say, don't sign Bud Dupree, use that money instead to go get a couple of pass catchers. And I think what I ended up doing that year was picking up like Curtis Samuel and Hunter Henry and a couple of guys who can be your number 3 guy for when Corey Davis leaves, for when Jonnu Smith leaves. That way you are reinvigorating the roster at things that you lost with some talent. That's all easy to do. Then you're going to hit an impasse. And the way that I kind of worked around the impasse is John Robinson learned from the most important thing he did in his tenure as Titans GM, which was the trade for Tannehill when his value was at the absolute lowest point. And I replicated that trade almost exactly in 2022 with the Titans going and acquiring Baker Mayfield when he was traded. I think he was traded to Tampa for a 5th-round pick that year.
Is that from Carolina?
No, sorry. He was traded to Carolina from Cleveland for a 5th-round pick that year. I gave up a 4th-round pick, which is the pick the Titans really gave up for Julio Jones. Instead of trading for Julio Jones, go get a quarterback who his value is low, but you're betting high. Then if you have Baker, and again, I'm jumping way ahead, but this is the thing that kind of brings the story together. Heading into the 2024 offseason, I had a team where Baker Mayfield had just thrown for 4,000 yards as a Titans quarterback, a minor miracle. You had A.J. Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown at receiver. You had Derrick Henry, and you had James Cook, who I picked in 2021, as your running backs.
A lot of really easy draft picks to do in hindsight.
a lot of easy hindsight draft picks.
Yeah.
Then you have to do the hard thing, which is you let Derrick Henry walk.
So all right. Is this a bullet? Can we pause here for one second?
For sure.
Okay. Let me get some comments here because I think there's another. This is the next chapter, right? You've traded for Baker Mayfield. You're going to let Henry walk. So a couple comments here. Vrabel as the head coach from Big 2033 would have been Mike Tomlin post Ben Roethlisberger good enough to not get a quarterback. But again, I don't disagree with that comment. I think it's more about can you go by at a low point. And Team Ramrod says, more Vrabel talk. This isn't about Vrabel per se. This is more about how to build a team in the NFL, how to learn from your mistakes and pinpoint where you screwed something up and not do that again. That's what this is sort of all about. LCT says Tannehill was finished. I would love to see Tannehill transition to coaching and be on the staff. I don't know about that. Big 2033 says Tanny wasn't winning a Super Bowl. But do you guys know that Tannehill did not know who was in the division when he was drafted by the Dolphins? I just want you guys to remember that. Tannehill is a see ball, get ball kind of player. I don't know if he's a coach. Henry would have dominated in the playoffs, says Big 2033. Jordan says, speaking from experience, could Ryan Tannehill win a Super Bowl? Is a fun sinkers-fueled embrace debate at a cabin trip with the boys. I don't know if he can, but that was my opinion back in the day. But if Joe Flacco can, who knows? Tannehill, after 3 interception division loss, was never the same. Shrike 113 says, we picked T. Higgins. We picked T instead of Wilson, and then we have T and AJ, and you don't have to trade for Julio, keeping a second, and I think also a 4th in that Julio Jones trade.
Yeah.
Here's one. What if we don't hire Rand Carthon and instead promote Cowden to GM? I do think that keeps the ship on the tracks, and it allows the Titans to rebuild quickly. But I don't think, again, much like Vrabel, is not the thing that leads the team to a Super Bowl, but it is a mistake that you can correct in this thought exercise.
If you replace Cowden, if you replace Rand with Cowden, so in real life the Titans went 6-11 in 2023, the last Vrabel year, Rand's first year.
Was that Tannehill's injury, or was that the next year?
No, that was the next. Well, Tannehill did get hurt, but it was the year Levis came in as a rookie.
Gotcha.
Really went 6-11 that year. Maybe you can get to 7 wins. I don't know if Cowden.
Yeah.
You get that much more. You still don't get the quarterback. So then heading into year 2, if Vrabel sticks with Cowden in 2024, instead of going 3-14 under Callahan, what are you winning? 6-7 games again? I don't think that it's an immediate turnaround to be in the Super Bowl this year. You probably still have confidence that you're righting the ship. But if the game has to end with the Titans in the Super Bowl in 2025, unless you go on a perfectly impeccable spending spree in that 2024 offseason, where instead of spending your money on Snead and Ridley and some of these pieces that didn't work out, unless every single thing hits and you find the exact correct offensive coordinator for Will Levis, and you believe that the right perfect offensive coordinator for Will Levis is good enough to actually get the most out of Will Levis, and you think Cowden still drafted Will Levis, unless all of that happens, it is a harder path to making it work.
Yeah. If we didn't have Rand and we didn't take Levis, who else would we have taken that year? I think you did that in the thought exercise because you had Baker Mayfield in all of this. All right, I want you to finish up your timeline here because I had one takeaway. I had one major takeaway from all of this that I think I want to articulate and see what yours was as well. But go ahead and finish your timeline. We are now at the point where we have jettisoned Ryan Tannehill. We have acquired Baker Mayfield at cheap and are going to give him prove-it deals, much like Tannehill was. Derrick Henry is at the end of his contract and is going to walk. Continue.
Yeah, in this scenario, it should mention I did not promote Todd Downing to offensive coordinator when Arthur Smith left. Instead, I went and did what every other team in the NFL did in that era and just hired a random guy off of Sean McVay's staff. In this case, it was Wes Phillips, who has been I believe is now the longest tenured offensive coordinator in the NFL, in case you are curious how hard it is to keep that job in today's league.
Was he at like 4 years?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
It's very short. Went and hired Wes Phillips. And so then that 2023 season with Baker Mayfield playing quarterback, if you take what he really threw for in Tampa that year, which was about 4,200 yards, and you give him A.J. Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you give him Derrick Henry, and you give him James Cook.
Yeah, just that.
That team is probably going to win 15 games and go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they'll be in the
hunt.
They're one of the best teams, and they have a chance to do it. So
will Baker Mayfield beat Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game?
Yeah,
I said no, but
I agree with you.
So coming out of that season, you have now, in this alternate reality, stalled in the playoffs 5 years in a row, 5 straight division titles, stalled in the playoffs, got to the AFC Championship game twice, got to the Super Bowl once in 2021. All of this stuff, you never won the big one. So the general manager, who in this case was still John Robinson, but we're saying the hypothetical general manager, has to get aggressive, has to say, am I okay getting close enough, or do I have to try something? Do I have to try something gigantic? Do I have to try something strange? And so I tried something aggressive and gigantic that full well I knew when I said this is what they do in 2024, I knew somebody would get fired for it.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing was trading A.J. Brown. That's the starting point. I traded A.J. Brown.
After a few more 1,000-yard seasons.
Yes. So instead of trading A.J. Brown after the 2021 season, traded him after the 2023 season. Traded him to Chicago, who at that point had the number 1 and the number 9 pick. I had the Bears give the Titans the number 9 pick in exchange for A.J. Brown. Pair him with Caleb Williams instead of to pair Rome Odunze with Caleb Williams.
The management of A.J. Brown is still a giant headache, even if he's here catching passes. It just
is mentioned in the story, is that A.J. Brown is going to wear at a certain point.
It was a bad trade. It was a bad trade, but it's not as simple as he would have been a rock star and taken us to the postseason. So.
And so you trade A.J., and now you have 2 first-round picks in 2024. You franchise tag Baker Mayfield to give him a contract of whatever that was worth, $41 million. Then you have an asset of a quarterback on a 1-year deal and 2 first-round picks. I turn around and I give up that quarterback on the 1-year deal, the 2 first-round picks.
This is where I felt like you were deep in your bag.
Quarterback on a 1-year deal, 2 first-round picks, and an additional second-round pick. The best of the 2 picks you're going to have in the second round from either your own second-round pick or Chicago's second-round pick. The best of those plus 2 first-round picks plus Baker Mayfield. You trade them to the New England Patriots, who owned the number 3 pick in the draft, and you use the number 3 pick in the draft to select Drake May.
Yeah, you're on a heater at this point.
So
you're like 12 songs deep, and you're about to play your solo at this point of the story. Like you're noodling at your Billy Strings at this point.
So in the 2023 season, you had the best offense in the NFL, as built around Baker Mayfield, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
In one off season, I have gotten rid of all 3 of those people. I have also moved on from the offensive coordinator, Wes Phillips, who it stands to reason if you developed that offense, you'd probably get a head coaching opportunity at some point. So I went and hired a guy who was hired as an offensive coordinator for the first time in 2024, Clint Kubiak. He was available. Yeah. Go get that guy as your offensive coordinator heading into 2024. So now you have Clint Kubiak, you have Drake May, you have James Cook, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown. That team, that team's not very good. They're okay.
They're fine. They're fine.
8 games,
yeah,
9
fine.
games.
They're fine.
Especially since I have Brian Flores as the Titans defensive coordinator, and I've built a team that up to that point already has like Jeffrey Simmons, Nnamdi Madubuike, Byron Young, Tuli Tuipulotu. Like I've got a really good defense. Titans are going to be fine defensively with Vrabel and Flores and all of that talent. But when you're getting rid of players in their prime, you are going to not be positive. And if you guys read the story, as is being mentioned in the comments right now, people were super angry when I made all these moves. Like my hypothetical Titans fans.
At that point of this whole story?
Hypothetical Titans fans in my hypothetical story revolted and got the GM fired because you let Derrick Henry walk and you traded A.J. Brown and you got rid of the best single-season quarterback in franchise history, and your team got worse for it. Yeah. Even if you were trying to get that young quarterback that fixes everything, your team got worse.
So I will go back to there are certain things when you do sports talk radio and you have to do 4 hours a day. You say a lot of stupid nonsense. You say a lot of stuff that's right that ends up being totally correct. And you say a lot of things that are wrong. And generally the way I've always graded my kind of myself, and really the goal is not to be right or wrong on sports talk radio. It's to pick the right topic that gets all of you engaged. It's not about being right or wrong. This is why, I like Jared Stillman, and people who don't like him continue to listen, because his job isn't to be right about anything. His job is to pick the right topics. That's neither here nor there. Of the things that I grade myself on in terms of just, what did I get this right? Like I always thought Mariota was a better quarterback than Tannehill. I think it's safe to say that after the injury, Tannehill was significantly better, and I was wrong about that. But one of the things that I got very, very, very right was when they fired Malarkey to hire Vrabel, the way I explained it every morning for the better part of a full year, and Derek Mason, former receiver, who was my co-host at the time, kind of disagreed with this and has come around. Like, the whole point was one step back, two steps forward. That's the whole point of firing Malarkey to get to Vrabel. It was firing the devil we know, which has a ceiling but a high floor, to take the risk, to take the upside shot. And that was the whole point of going to Vrabel. That's what this is. If you are getting rid of aging veterans to then reset the clock, you're going to take a step back. But the point is the upside down the road is more sustainable, higher, and better for the organization long term. And that is hard to sell in the period of time where you're taking the step back. It's just hard to sell. So here's my number one thing on all of this. And I'm fascinated to know where your brain went after at the end of this exercise. And I think the one common theme through all the mistakes, because it's hard to look at draft picks and just say, yeah, you just misevaluated on that, and then find a theme on misevaluating draft picks. Caleb Farley, Isaiah Wilson, Treylon Burks, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think if you package all of it together, not re-signing Conklin, I think, is the original sin in all of this. Do you agree with that? That's the original, that's the tipping point in all of this, because it does lead to them chasing.
If
right?
there is something that counts as biting the rotten apple, it is not filling the right tackle slot.
But technically, what is that? It is not sticking with your own development plan for a very good player. It is we think we can do it again. And it's not that you shouldn't think that, but from that moment you then chase, right? Trading for Julio Jones is chasing. Signing Bud Dupree and Vic Beasley is chasing. It is all of this short-term fix, which breaks from what got them to 19 and 20, which is draft and develop good football players that believe in your culture and identity. And I know there's a lot of vagaries in that statement, but the message that I took from this, and when I think about other teams, and obviously as a Packers fan, I think sometimes it's frustrating that they will jettison Devontae Adams and just continue to draft and develop their own guys. It seems to work. It's worked at quarterback famously for the Packers twice. And so stay the course. As hard as it is, as uncomfortable as it can be, stay the course and be disciplined about your plan. I think that is maybe the theme that runs through all of this. When you start to shoot off and try new things, hiring Rand Carthon was a risky decision. It was a risky move to try something new. Spending $80 million on Bud Dupree, trading 2 draft picks for Julio Jones. It all feels like you've diverted from the course and the original plan that got you to being good under Vrabel and Robinson at first. Is that am I articulating that lesson properly in your opinion? If Nick is still with us?
Yeah, you are. You are. Look, I'm here. Sorry, I'm loading up the story, and it's going to take forever to load on my computer because it's 5,000 words long.
Yeah, nobody can hear you now because you're doing that.
Look, I understand the criticism of this line of discussion. It is very easy to hear this line of discussion as I can hear me. I have no idea if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Because I stopped.
Just keep going. You're on a heavy delay. Keep going. There we go. Now you're back.
Yeah, the easy way to criticize this entire conversation that we're having is this is just making stuff up. This is just talking to talk.
Isn't that what we do on podcasts?
If you think of this as an exercise in fiction, that's fine. But that's kind of, to me, like thinking of a trip to the doctor as an excuse to pay a copay. Like you're trying to fix something. You're trying to diagnose what's wrong. And as I was writing this, the important quote that kept coming to my mind is the losing sucks Gentry rant. If you think about what has happened to the Titans over these last 4 seasons, losing sucks. It sucks. You can't sleep. You stay up all night. You want to win for the players, and you hurt so bad because you can't win for the players. I couldn't quote that directly because it crashed my computer trying to pull up the quote because I wrote too many words because I am a deeply, deeply precise boy.
This is Jordan, sick flex. My story is so detailed and thoughtful that it's crashing my network and laptop. I like it.
I think that if you want to reconceptualize the Vrabel of it all, if you want to reconceptualize the Amy Adams Strunk of it all, if you want to reconceptualize everything that's happened in the last 4 years, the root of it is the Titans have lost a lot. Like, a lot. I have been on the Titans beat for 4 seasons, and I have personally witnessed 12 wins. Or maybe, no, I've personally witnessed 14 wins.
Yeah, there you go.
I've personally witnessed 14 wins.
Don't take those 2 away, man. Come on.
It's a lot of losing. It is a remarkable amount of losing. And sometimes you have to look at what it would have taken to win in order to understand why you lost. All of this is a defense of I put a lot of work into something. But I also think it's a defense of if you just look at it and say, oh, Vrabel couldn't hire good assistant coaches. He only promoted from within. Well, why was that? What's the diagnostic of why he chose to do that? If you look at it and said, well, John Robinson got worse at drafting after 2019. Okay, well, why did that happen?
Right.
And to Braden's point, if we can look at what changed about the Titans once they experienced success, what changed about the Titans after that run?
They panicked.
What changed about the Titans after that run to the 2019-2020 AFC Championship game? What changed after that point that the Titans started plugging holes with win now type players in free agency and making trades to give off pieces that in the past would have been used to strengthen and build the roster to instead, plug a hole right now with an improvement point.
Because we think we're there.
Yeah.
We think we're that one hole away. Plug that hole and we got a Super Bowl.
And if you start thinking of it as we're there, we just need this, you're probably not there.
Yep. You can't operate. It's different in hockey. It's even different in baseball. You have 80 wins at the deadline and you're one of the best teams in Major League Baseball and all you need is a closer. You go plug the hole. That's not how football works. It's just not. You have to have all 40, I'm going to say 44, you're too deep, have to all be pulling in the same direction on every play.
Yeah. And this is where I will give Vrabel credit. As I've been here, we have somebody in the comments mentioning that I was at Ole Miss before this. It's instrumental that, like, before I was here, the coach I had spent the most time around who had the most success was Lane Kiffin, if we're talking football coaches. And the way Lane Kiffin wins in college is very much, I have better ideas than you and I have better players than you, which can win you a lot of football games in college. If you got the best ideas and you've got really good players, you're going to win a lot.
You're in good shape.
I do not think I have the best ideas is a good recipe for winning in the NFL. It's a good recipe for getting a team better, for elevating your floor. But if the most important coaching trait, as we can learn in both college football and the NFL this year, is the ability to, I hate to use the word manipulate, but the ability to manipulate your players into thinking they are better than they are. The true motivational skill of taking a bunch of people and saying, however good you are, you're actually better than that. This is how good I think you are. This is how good I know you are. This is how good you should know you are. Curt Cignetti is a master of that. Indiana's success has a lot to do with Curt Cignetti's ability to do that. Vrabel is also a master of that.
I've got the Miracle on Ice documentary ready to go this weekend.
Yeah.
I imagine that was I've seen. That's part of that. How do you get a team that's not as good as the Russians to pull the upset the way they did? That's coaching culture number 101. We're about done here. We're gonna wrap up, but quickly. But didn't the Pats chase? Asks Jason. And if you're talking about the current version of the Pats, I don't know if I agree with that.
I think that the Pats spent a lot of money. So if you call that chasing, yes. Like I understand how you can arrive at that conclusion. I think the Pats had a lot of money to spend and they spent it well. But I think the Patriots also, they were bad for 2 years, and those 2 bad years yielded them first round picks that got them a stud at quarterback and a stud at cornerback. Like there are 5 positions that matter in the NFL. I say it every week. And they hit on 2 of the 5 positions that matter. And they also developed pretty well. And they also hit on some weird 6th round picks, like Kayshon Boutte being good in the 6th round. Like there are things.
Yep.
And to Jordan's question, why didn't they just trade Vrabel in this exercise? Good question. Because in this exercise, I was kind of mandated that Mike Vrabel still has to be on the
that's kind of the idea. So here's the thing, and this is ultimately kind of the point. T Manzana 27. Is this really the title today? We've been paying for the sins of 20 and 20 through 23 with some of the worst draft and free agency classes ever. We'd be competitive, but in the same shit. Here's the deal. We agree with you. The title is not the same as the conversation. The conversation is worth your time because it's about what do you learn about how an NFL team is built successfully and sustained and managed through multiple eras of good quality talent. What can we learn from the mistakes that you're referring to in that era? What are we learning from the Patriots and what they're doing now and other organizations? It's just about acquiring data and learning how to go about functioning in a very difficult sport. And my takeaway from all of this exercise, excellent work. Everybody go read it, Tennessean.com. Is stick to what you know, stay your course, and be disciplined, and like almost to a point of like neurosis. Like just be so committed to what you believe in is the core ethos, and go with that and stay with it. You got to evolve slightly over time. You got to make it. You got to be adaptable, but you can't just. I felt like the Titans changed their entire strategy when they got to the AFC Championship game, got the 1 seed the next year. Vrabel stayed the same. And the organization and the fans were high on their own supply is how it felt. And that they can just keep doing what they're doing. And it does seem like it goes back to the Conklin 5th-year option.
It usually goes back to the Conklin 5th-year option. It also does bear mentioning that in the last 23 years, 24 years in the NFL, the only team that has won a Super Bowl with a running back who finished top 5 in the NFL in rushing yards that year were the Eagles last year. Yeah. Before that, the last one was Corey Dillon with the Patriots in like 2003. So building around a running back, not the best strategy. You needed to go get a quarterback.
All right. You're going to need some Sinkers Beverages supplies this weekend for your big game party, whether you just watch commercials at halftime or you love every second of the game, whether you're alone or whether you're with your family or whether you're at a big party. Sinkers Beverages craft beer fridge of the year. They have craft beer from all over Middle Tennessee, so go check out Sinkers. You can have the booze delivered directly to your house. So if you're running low on Sunday, don't go anywhere. Search Uber Eats and have Sinkers deliver the booze directly to you this weekend. It's the only way to watch the Super Bowl. So here's the deal. Seattle Seahawks are a better team, but Mike Vrabel with 2 weeks to prepare is very scary. Who you got?
I have the Patriots simply because it's 50-50 and everybody's picking. It's 50-50 to me and everybody's picking Seattle. So I will, if it's 50-50, I'll pick the undervalued team.
I'm taking the Patriots as well because everyone's picking Seattle. Seems like a foregone conclusion. And not to get into another whole alternate reality, Mike McDonald could be the coach of the Titans right now.
They did interview. That's true.
And this is your 4th Titan season? Or you just finished your 4th season?
This will be my 5th. This will be my 5th Titans.
Okay, well, you've seen 19 wins then. You really shorted the team.
I was not there for the first 5 wins of that year.
It was half. You were there halfway.
I got my first game on the Titans beat was Malik Willis's first start as a Titan.
Okay. All right. So Jordan has some wisdom for all of you here on the show to end. Go check out the Tennessee and support Sinkers Beverages. Stick to what you know where you are on a map, but also try some shit.
Including
a wise man said all those things.
Try some shit, including reading the Tennessean, please. Go click on this article. I can see how many people have clicked on the article during the length of this show.
Okay.
And it's not a lot. Go click on it.
You got chart beat up and go.
I can see. I can watch. I can see when you guys click on stuff and you're not doing it. You're not doing it. You got to go do it. Go click on it.
Very Very Orwellian of you.
Or,
Jordan,
just pick up a newspaper. It'll be in print on Sunday.
Thank you for your support, Jordan, and all of you out there listening. We do appreciate it. Sinkers Beverages, everybody. We shall see what happens on Sunday. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday.